crazy controlled. They're missing each other by an inch, sliding each other. I mean, they know what they're doing, and it's poetry in motion.
There's a fine line between great focus and obsession, and you got to make sure that you're still in the right side of that line where it doesn't start inhibiting your performance when you get here.
You have to know where the edge is, and a lot of times we go over it.
After an exciting event last week at Knoxville, all the drivers today for the American Dirt Series make their way to the Beach State. You're watching RaceSpotTV as we're just about set to go for the fourth round of the American Dirt Series Sprint Car Series live tonight from flag-to-flag coverage. Here for today's event, I'm Justin Pritzel. Alongside me is Davis Richards, and joining us in the backdrop once again, as always, is Hugo Louise, as we're getting all set to go for what should be an exciting night of dirt racing from start to finish, right here from beautiful Georgia. Davis, let me ask you this. What are your thoughts on the track? This is the first time this configuration in terms of iRacing has been used since this track originally opened in 1982. Remember, this became a paved circuit in the mid-1980s. What are your quick thoughts on the circuit today?
We're going to see a lot of awesome racing here tonight at Lanier. It's one of the smallest tracks these drivers go to, so these drivers are going to be door to door, or should I say wing to wing, and it's going to be non-stop action as soon as they drop that green flag to when they drop the checker in the A-main.
And it's going to be an exciting event, that's for sure. The A-main tonight is set to be 55 laps, and the lap times are going to be very quick here on this tight circuit. This is a less than a fourth of a mile circuit for Lanier National Speedway, as it will be exciting coverage throughout the night. Of course, today's coverage once again is presented by Southern Indiana Lawn Care, along with the rest of many sponsors, bring you your flag-to-flag coverage live tonight. Here, let's take a look at your championship standings real quick. As you see on the screen, Alex Bergeron leads the way in points. He had his 2-race win streak to start off the year snapped last week at Knoxville. Timothy Smith in second, Anthony Lopresto in third, followed by Michael Sheridan, as well as Chris Brenner, Brad Spittle, along with Nathan Davis, Daniel Heineman, Lewis Hewitt, and Terry Rennert. That is your top 10 in point standings today. Who do you see being one of the standout drivers here in tonight's circuit?
You know, it's really hard to go against Timothy Smith. We've seen him go up there. He's finished in the top 3 every single race so far this season. And another guy, like you said, Alex Bergeron, he had his 2-race win streak broken by none other than Austin Carr. That was an awesome finish last week that we saw here, and I think we're in store for the same kind of racing here tonight at Lanier.
Yes, we should be. That is for sure. Of course, you see it is a little bit of a unique circuit where it has a pretty steep banking, along with what is usually in the paved circuit, the apron to deal with on the bottom line. How does that change things for today, especially with what to expect on where drivers are going to be riding, whether it's being on that high side where the cushion is, a lot of cushion for the time being, all the way to the bottom, which is nearly flat?
when I drive this track, I lean more towards the bottom. And during practice, I've seen more drivers do that. While we have seen some drivers go up high towards that cushion, a lot of drivers are going around that bottom and trying to get their left front tires right against the inside of that wall. But doing that, you've got to be really careful, because before you know it, that car will snap out behind you, and you're going to go for a wild spin and take some drivers with you, with it being such a small track.
Yeah, speaking of it being such a small track, as mentioned, it is less than a fourth of a mile. Exactly, the measurement is 0.38 miles. That is why the fastest lap times in practice before the opening of today's session, and for the race events and for the heats themselves, as well as the time trial qualifying, Cole Newhofen led the way in the practice session. A 12.389 was the fastest times. All the times for the top 12 drivers were in the 12-second range, followed by a bunch of drivers in the 13-second range. You see your details right here. 4 turns, exact distance is actually 0.329. Thank you very much with that. And it is a cooler night. You see it's 18 degrees Celsius. It is 65 degrees Fahrenheit. If you need to keep track for this race, track state is all set to be currently at light usage for the start of the time trial sessions, 5% to be exact.
Yes, it is, but that track is going to slicken off as the night goes forward. We've seen it last week as well, that the track really started to slick off. Those drivers were having to find different lines and different ways to get around here, and I think we're going to see the same exact thing tonight. Now, you asked who I thought was going to win this race and who's going to make it into that A main. Who do you think is going to be a top contender here? You think it's going to be someone different, or you think we're going to see pretty much the same top 7 drivers up front?
I think it's going to be, for one, I think it might be some of the top drivers. But then again, we've seen some drivers move from the middle of the pack, for example, up into potential contention. Last week in Knoxville, of course, it turned out to be a fuel mileage race in the end that helped out set up Austin Carr, who, of course, has even faster times with additional practice times across the track earlier on before he joined in with a 12.273 with their updated times. So you got to remember, this, of course, very tight racing. These drivers are all going to be in the 12-second range, and a lot can happen. It takes one mistake to move you for a driver outside that top 7 range, of course, Davis, up into that top 7 and for the contention for the win.
And you know, you're right, it really does. And while these times, they're really good to look at right now, they really don't tell the whole entire story of what we will see tonight. Like you said, those initial times with Austin Carr running at 12.273. He was probably one of the first drivers to go out there on the track, so the track was really tacky, and it was showing a lot of grip and a lot of speed. I think we're really going to be able to see what these drivers can do in the first heat.
Yeah, we're going to see that is for sure. Once again, we'd like to remind you today's broadcast is sponsored by Southern Indiana Lawn Care, along with Dirtco Media House. Also joining the line for the broadcast tonight, Kings of Dirt, CMF Motors Electrics, Down Under Graphics, Chileno Forestry, and B-Durf 1934. And we're getting all set to go. It is time for the qualifying session. All the drivers will have 7 minutes to complete 2 laps on this very quick circuit. It's time to get to your qualifying coverage. Who do you see being the best on the track for qualifying today?
You know, it's kind of hard to go against Austin Carr. You know, he really surprised us last week with that victory, but then again, I said it before, Tim Smith, but another guy that I'd pay close attention to is that 666 of Lewis Hewitt. He came out last week at Knoxville, started from the back, and made his way into the top 5.
Now we're looking at some of the drivers going across the track for their first qualifying attempts. You see them zooming all around. Of course, this is solo qualifying using the iRacing system. As they continue to work their way along, you see a lot of drivers trying to use the bottom, going all the way to the middle and bouncing around. That is Sean Tucker, struggling to find a gripping on his first attempt, all the way to a 13.7. 13.711 is the total time. Just shows what the drivers are going to have to do to try and find the lines. You see the slick near the bottom right now at the moment, as this is going to end up being a 13.308. In the end for him, Chris Brenner is on the top of the boards with a 12.8.
Second place, we got Robert Kerstetter setting a 12.820. You can see him right now as he's going around that bottom. He's not getting close to that wall as I thought he would, but he's still making it work and making it stick. Well, I guess it is pretty sick, but the word I'm trying to say is stick. Kevin Lovey's with a 12.834, and look at David Heileman up there, sitting in that fourth position with a 12.839. So these drivers are turning out not as fast times that we've seen in practice, but for the conditions right now, I think they're pretty fast. And right now we got a tie for the pole with Chris Brenner at the 12.817, tied with Robert Kerstetter.
And as you see, it is extremely close with the lap times. It is all within the top 15 within 0.2 of a second. You're on board now with Lewis Hewitt as he's going to back off the racetrack. Just a few more drivers have to put in their lap times, including Derek Fisher, Cody Hartlow. Some of those drivers on the track, you're following along with Fisher as he tries to use the bottom, has to slide all the way up to the middle, all the way to the top, and immediately has to turn his way down the middle groove. That is one of the fastest times coming from Derek Fisher with a 12.8. You see Dylan Semmelman moving up the board. Can Fisher upgrade? And that answer, no siree. There is, of course, one caveat. Alex Bergeron is the only driver not to record a time so far for qualifying out of everyone else left to go.
I'm curious if he's just trying to make it interesting and going to come from the back, or maybe he might be just making a little bit of fine-tuning adjustments to his setup to see if he can get that extra tenth or so out.
Yeah, an extra tenth or so out as he's getting onto the track right now. We're going to see how he can do right now.
Oh, so you're right, he is out on the track right now. As he's going around that top side, getting as much speed as he can out of four, but before he takes his initial green flag lap, he's going to run up on the bottom, still about a lane or so up on the bottom, running the slick stuff, goes up towards the wall, and he's coming into 3 and 4. He's driving it in again, and he's going to come across the line. What's it going to be? It's going to be a 12.834, and that's going to put him in the 5th position.
Quick lap for the first time. He's going to have to try and get a better one this time if he wants to move up a little bit more and be in the early heats. And he slipped up a little bit at 13.169 for the second lap. He's going to stop it, and that is your final recorded time for the session for Alex Bergeron. He is going to be in the top 5 for overall qualifying. You look at your totals on the left side of your screen. Robert Kerstetter and Chris Brenner setting the pace by far with 12.817 and a 12.818 respectively. Lewis Hewitt in 3rd, Dylan Semmelman in 4th, Alex Bergeron 5th, Lovey's, Heileman, Smith, Carr, and Miller round out your top 10 for qualifying.
Well, if those closer times don't get you excited, then you need to go to a doctor and get yourself checked, because these boys are going to put on a show tonight. Look how close those times are, even between the top 10. These drivers are going to be on edge tonight, and they're going to prove it here.
And speaking on edge, did you see how, you might have noticed, of course, how they were riding a lot of it? You said usually want to ride along towards the bottom. It seemed like some of these drivers were able to make it stick, some of them not so much in qualifying. What was your take on that?
Yeah, I was really expecting the drivers to run closer to that wall, but the way the track, I think, is leveled off so far, it's given them a lot of speed, and it's about probably half a lane up from the bottom, and they're running the slick stuff. So I think as the race goes on, these drivers are going to be switching lines, obviously, but I think we'll see the bottom come in more into play later on, but we're just going to have to find out here as we're going to start that first initial heat in about a minute and a half.
And why don't we look at the replays? In fact, for Robert Kerstetter, that you see a race spot replay. He had a very quick time, of course. We're going to see he was one of those drivers who went very close to the wall that you noted to record that very fast lap time. How about you analyze this one here, Davis, for the second run around?
Well, you see him going around that inside wall into 1 and 2, getting right up against it, just almost letting that left front wheel touch it.
Yeah, that was very close, of course. We should note, though, we're ready to go heat racing. As everyone's all set to go, Randy Chenef is going to be starting off with Derek Fisher, Kevin Loveys, Robert Curbsetter, Max Stambro, Emil Miller, Jason Negard, along with Brock Garris, Craig Levan, along with Jason Minat. Rounding out the field, a 10-car field, mind you, for the first heat for tonight's events.
Well, look at old Randy Chenef. He's starting in that first position in this initial heat. He's going to be someone to watch. He made the A-main last week, so broadcaster turned racer. He might put on a show here tonight. It'd have to be someone to pay attention to, but look at Robert Curbsetter in that fourth position. He's definitely going to be someone to watch. We were watching him go around that track.
Yeah, watch him go around that track. Indeed, you see him all set up. Of course, the 27, the by far favorite for the seat. He's going to have to work through a little tiny bit of traffic to start off. Now, as you see, we're going to go side by side. You see on board from our brand new helmet camera from Randy, as he's going to give us the little experiment. You see him setting up and doing his quick adjustments already. What kind of adjustments might those be for somebody like that right now, starting off in the front row?
I think right now he's just looking at the standings, looking at his relatives, seeing who's beside him, making any minor adjustments to the wing he can. He's either going to put it forward or back depending on how his car felt in qualifying. So just getting a little bit of kinks out of the way, getting ready to go green here. And yeah, that helmet cam's looking pretty cool. It's a new little thing, new feature we've got with Randy on board and driving that number 50 RaceSpot Sprint Car 360.
Yeah, a little nice, interesting touch, that's for sure. Remember, for the heat races, the first 4 cars are inverted. For the heats, there are 5 heats for tonight, and there is an overall of 10 laps for each single heat. That is going to go by like a blink of an eye, as we're going to have 2 pace laps, I believe, from the iRacing official pace truck, as they're going to lead themselves down the front straightaway. Who are you watching to see what happens here in this first heat?
You know, got it. Going to be paying close attention to that number 27 of Robert Curbsetter. We know he's got the speed. Going to have to see how he can maneuver around this traffic, if he's going to play it really hard and aggressive to try to get it to the front as quick as he can, or if he's going to take it easy and just bide his time and wait for that perfect time to make his initial move.
And here we go. Pace truck is off. We're underway, and we're off to a very quick start. Randy Chenef's going to drop off a little tiny bit as they go side by side, 2 by 2. Car sliding into the wall. It's Kevin Loveys. As he smacks into the wall, he's stuck. Has to move back going, and a little bit of struggles early on for Loveys.
Yeah, it looked like contact between him and the 27 of Robert Curbsetter. It looked like the car just got out from under him, and you see right now Robert Curbsetter running that bottom line right underneath Randy in that number 50 machine. He's doing just like he did in his qualifying times, and he's making it work to it. Thought he was going to go for the slide job, but decides to stay low there. You see Randy using the high side of the track. That's going to cost him a little bit of time as he's battling back and forth with that number 46 of Max Stamball.
Yeah, right now you can see the action all across your screen, and Randy is stuck. He lost a little bit of time, went on a slide for a quick second there. As you've seen that right on the helmet camera, that lost him a couple different spots as he drops on by. Derek Fisher, meanwhile, still keeps on the lead as Chenef recovers.
Yeah, he did. It's a tough break for him. Gonna have to see if he can get that car going and make the best of this situation right now. But Derek Fisher and that number 43 machine, he's out front with Robert Curbsetter sitting in second and Max Stamball in third place. These drivers are pretty much checked out from the field. They've got about 2 or 3 or so car lengths between each one of them. I think they're just minding their time and just waiting for this race to end.
And it's getting very close to the end right here. A lap and a half to go already. Still in the 13-second range for all the drivers across the track. Derek Fisher going to take the white flag as they get all set to go. 1 lap to go, coming to 2 laps to go, I should say, for this heat. As you remember, sometimes it's getting hard. But right now, they're more focused on getting it together. White flag is now up in the air for this first heat. Robert Curbsetter's trying to close right on in. trying to get the best result he can. Currently in the third spot is Max Stambrol, but for Derek Fisher, he's going to take the checkered flag and win the first heat. Robert Curbsetter in second, and on the bubble spot, moving on, Max Stambrol.
Seen a very conservative race right there. These drivers didn't try anything too crazy, as they were just worried about advancing their position, getting into that A main. So these other drivers that didn't make it in the top three, they're going to have some more chances later on tonight. So they're definitely going to have to be someone to pay attention to.
Someone to pay attention to indeed. As we mentioned, your top three ended up moving right on. And just to show the briskness of getting things together, heat number 2 is already all set to go. Terry Renner's going to be on the pole, moving towards this. Remember, the first 4 are inverted, followed by Cole Newfellin, along with David Heidelman, Chris Brenner, Stephen Reynolds, David Flick, Brad Spittle, Larry Moody, and Scott Maul. A 9-car heat for the second one. What should we expect to see in terms of driving styles from what you've seen in the first heat?
Well, for what we see from the first heat, we're going to see a lot of conservative driving, but there's some big names out here in this heat with Terry Renner and Lewis Hewitt's another one, and there's a lot of big names in here, so I think we're going to see some more exciting action tonight, more excitement in this first initial heat.
And who is your favorite right now? You got to remember, Chris Brenner did just about tie that pole time.
Yeah, he did, so he's definitely going to be someone to watch. You know, it's kind of hard to go against him with him barely missing the pole by a thousandth of a second.
And they're all set to go. We're underway for heat number 2. Off to a quick start. Terry Renner leading them along to the bottom side. Daniel Heineman trying to fall on along. They were very close there. Chris Brenner having to avoid the slide jump from Heineman as he went up to the high side. They're 3 wide down the front stretch to the first lap as 2 drivers smack into the inside wall. Terry Renner, though, he's on his side as he hits a barrel.
He did. Terry Renner, he got contact with that. I can't quite tell what number that is, but he was on his side and flipping. That's going to be in the end of his heat. It's a very tough break for him because he had a very fast car.
That was David Heidelman. He was with Scott Marr, is also now done because he hit the next pit barriers coming into 3, I believe, to go sideways as well. So he is now done. So 2 of your 9 drivers for the heat are already done. Close battle, though, up at the front. Newhoffen trying to get by with the slide job from Brenner. Brenner's going to ride on the high side. Slide job from Newhoffen, but the momentum still carries Brenner back to the inside and into the lead. Can he make it hold this time coming to the start and finish line? Yes, he can for the time being, but this is nowhere close. Cole Newhoffen again gets up to the front. Chris Brenner able to go on by. This is going to help Stephen Reynolds. Brenner as he's going to try and close on incoming to 4 laps to go.
And you see that 115 using that bottom side isn't going to be able to quite make it stick. That 84 is still in the lead, leading that high side. I didn't expect to see that high side work as fast as it is, but it is. And you see that 8 right on the 84's tail. And we've got a race going here now. There's a 3-way battle for the lead.
3-way battle for the lead right now. Remember, Stephen Reynolds is on that bubble with 3 drivers advancing from the heats to set themselves up. Right now, Brenner trying to continue to stay up in the lead, coming to the start and finish line as this is 1 lap to go. White flags up across the racetrack. Chris Brenner trying to pull away with enough distance. Still a battle for second. Renner still going to the bottom. He can't get it though. Chris Brenner wins heat number 2.
Wow, now that was some excitement right there. It was a 3-way battle for that lead. So, and these drivers, I think they were still being conservative and not giving it all they had in it right there. These top 3 drivers knew they were locked in as long as they didn't take each other out. So, if that's anything to show for in the future races, then we're going to be in for a very wild night.
You see the results on your screen. Brenner, Newhoffen, followed by Stephen Renner, David Flick, David Heidelman, Brad Spittle, along with Larry Moody, Terry Renner, and Scott Marr both crashed on the same lap in 2 separate incidents, and they did not get to the finish. We're already quickly on our sprint to the heat number 3. It is Stephen Hill, Cody Hartlow, along with Timothy Smith, along with Lewis Hewitt, Dakota Kahn, Michael Rosendahl, Ernie Williams Jr., Lindsey Hobbs, and Sean Tucker round out your 9-car field for heat number 3.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good race here. Really like how the track is wearing in. Like I said before, didn't really expect that top side to come into play as early as it has. So I think some of these drivers, they've sat back here and they've watched and they've taken notes. So I think we're going to see that top side come in more into play and more drivers use it. And going to have to see how it plays out here, because we've got some other big names. Lewis Hewitt in that 666 is one to watch, I'd say, here tonight.
Definitely one to watch because he had in qualifying a 12.829. That, of course, was 12 100ths off of your top 2 drivers. He is somebody that has a very quick pace as well. Stephen Hill's going to lead them off. Everyone's getting all bunched up, and we're underway here for heat number 3. Very close call to start off as we're already up to 3 wide, up down the front stretch. Bobble from Hill. He's going to slide right on back immediately. Hartlow able to ride the high line along with the cushion and ends up making the early pass. Tim Smith, he's going to try and get the slide job to try and hold on to second. But Lewis Hewitt, he's going to go on that high line as well and make it work.
Look at Hewitt making that cushion work. He's making these drivers pay for it too. He's passed about 3 sprint cars already here tonight, and we're just in the lap 2 of this heat race. He's sitting in that second position. He knows where he's at. He's comfortable in that position right here. He's just got to hold off. He's got to hold off that driver behind him and hope that he can't pass him. So some very exciting racing, and you see him go low, try to get the momentum. Not going to be able to quite do it. That cushion is still paying off big for these drivers.
And Cody Hartloff is right now still trying to keep and pull away up on that high line cushion as they come to halfway through the heat. Lewis Hewitt comfortably in 3rd, but Timothy Smith, one of your favorites for the race today, has to fight off Dakota Kahn as right now Smith is on the bubble spot.
He is on that bubble spot. He's got to hold him off right behind him. Now you see all of these drivers using that high line. Only seen one driver use the bottom, and he was sitting in that last position. These drivers are making that cushion work, and they're getting every single bit of grip they can out of these machines.
And they're doing exactly that. Coming to 2.5 laps to go this time. Coming right to 2 laps to go. Smith is starting to slowly but surely pull away from Kahn right now. Kahn's trying to make a difference, using the middle, trying to go through the slick, and he gets a bad run. It's going to lose him even more time. Riding along the middle side, 1 lap to go this time with a white flag. Cody Hartloff is riding along with the cushion. Hewitt easily following with Smith. Dakota Kahn going to have to try and hold off Stephen Hill now for 4th. And he's going to be able to hold him off as Cody Hartloff dominates his way to his victory for heat number 3. Lewis Hewitt in 2nd. Timothy Smith finishes in 3rd with Dakota Kahn, Stephen Hill, Michael Rosendahl, Ernie Williams Jr., Sean Tucker, and Lindsey Hobbs rounding out your field. As one thing to note, though, Hobbs did pull into the pits for a couple laps, which is why that driver, the Aussie, is 4 laps down.
Yeah, Cody Hartloff taking that Dirtco Media House 360 sprint car and putting it in victory lane here for the 3rd heat. So that sprint car definitely has a lot of speed here tonight, and we've just seen some awesome racing so far. What do you think we're going to see as we go forward?
I think we're going to see, based on what I'm seeing, a lot of the driving being on the cushion so far. So I think that's going to be coming to the play. I think, though, once drivers get more comfortable on that bottom side near that wall, it's going to get more interesting with passing attempts. But right now, we got our next heat. It is overall, according to our information, heat number 4. Belfort, along with Brennan Roxbury, Austin M. Carr, last week's A-Main victory holder, comes alongside Dylan Settleman. Next, Mark Pinsky, along with Todd LaBou, Theo Presto, Nathan Steele, and CJ LaVere round out your field for 9 drivers in this heat.
This is going to be heat number 4, our second to last heat of the night. So these drivers were getting near to the end of these heats. So it's going to be very interesting to watch as that pace car is off.
And that was a close start right there. Both drivers going tire to tire. Roxbury immediately slips on back as the green flag's out. He ends up getting, though, a great run on the outside. I think he might have tapped it on the outside still, and he's got an absolutely huge run off of 3 and 4 as they complete the first lap. Roxbury using the cushion and sliding through. We got trouble right in the middle of the pack. It is Mark Pinsky flipping up and over down the backstretch. An absolute trouble for him as he is done. Todd LeBeau also into the pits after that incident.
And they were 3 wide for a second. They were Dylan Zimmerman on that outside line. He got what a heck of a pass he just pulled on there. Look at how close he gets to that inside wall. He almost hits the pit wall, and he got lucky there.
And right now, a few different drivers just got lucky. You see the replay from Race Spot on what just happened there that took out 2 different drivers in this heat as we're back underway racing. Brendan Roxbury, meanwhile, he's taken advantage and absolutely pulled away from the rest of the field right now as he's just past halfway. Just able to run away with some space here in heat number 4. As right now in second spot, Austin car, Anthony Lopresto right now trying to hold off Dylan Silliman as he got an absolutely bad run off of 3 and 4, trying to hold off the slide job as they ride alongside the cushion. Coming to 3 laps to go this time by.
You've seen Silliman try to pull off that slide job and wasn't able to on Anthony Lopresso. I gotta believe Silliman has some damage from that previous incident, and it's hindering him a lot because I see him searching all over the track, trying to find a groove to work to get some speed through there, but it's not working. He's went from the high side to the low side and back to the low side. As you see him right now trying that low side again, almost, I think he actually did scrape that inside wall, so he's definitely having a lot of problems with that car.
Yes, and I believe he just pulled it off as well because you did see that damage on the machine. The white flag is out, though, across the speedway for this heat. Roxbury's going to go to the bottom side, slide and run in the slick, trying to hold off Austin Carr, and he does it. Brendan Roxbury wins heat number 4 with Austin Carr finishing in second. Anthony Lopresto finishes in third with Brandon Steele 4 seconds back in fourth. CJ LeVere finishes a full track behind, just about in 5th. Dylan Settleman does not finish with Paul Belfour, Mark Pinsky, and Todd LeBeau. A lot of attrition in heat number 4, that is for sure.
Yeah, I believe Silliman, he took that car behind the wall. I guess he just had too much damage to keep up with these drivers. And what a very interesting race we've seen there. And I'm really liking Anthony Lopresto. Week in and week out, I've seen he's got a lot of speed. He just hasn't been able to put a full night of racing together to show off those finishes of how hard he's been racing. So maybe tonight at Lanier might be his lucky night, and I think he's going to be one to watch here in that A main.
Right now, we're going to see who's to watch in this final heat. Michael Sheridan, John Lopresto, Chad Miller, Alex Bergeron. Put a star next to him in 4th. Troy Wegeman Jr., Hayden Earwood, Douglas Wyatt, Scott Bellum, and Cody Olson, as this is your final 10-lap heat. You see the field all set to go. Who are you watching here in this final heat, especially with the track conditions shifting around a little bit, especially after that craziness in the past 2 heats?
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to watch the number 112 of Alex Bergeron sitting in that 4th position. So he's shown a lot of speed, obviously. He's a big name here in the iRacing community, so he can definitely knows how to put it on a show, but these drivers just aren't going to pull over for him. They know he's fast, they know he's bad, so they're going to be trying that much more to keep him behind him.
That's for sure right now. Bergeron did finish 5th in qualifying. He is really trying to go back and forth. Not sure what exactly he was trying to do there. Maybe you can give a bit of insight on what he might be doing, trying to maybe... The oval equivalent is trying to add heat to the tires. What's the equivalent for that real quickly?
He's trying to work in that top side as best as he can, and I think we're going to see him go around that top side this entire race.
And Michael Sheridan is already off to the races as the green flag's out. He's going to go right to the high side. Chad Miller trying to make a quick move as Troy Wegeman's going to fall back for a second. John Lopresto trying to make his slide up as Alex Bergeron gets a good run off of 3 and 4. He's going all the way to the bottom, and he tries to pass 2 drivers at once. Can he make it work? No, he bounces off somebody as he slips his way back into 5th. He's going to potentially lose 1 more spot as Hayden Earwood is going to the bottom side trying to pull off the slide job. This time it does not work. But things are getting really interesting because somebody, I believe, just bounced off the wall. Chad Miller did. But they're still going. John Lopresto up in the 3rd spot as they battle for the bubble.
And that was the 157 of John Lopresto that Alex Bergeron got into. God don't know how he saved that machine. Did you see him on the bottom trying to get some more speed off of it? I think that damage might have hurt him. So as you see him right there trying to pull off that slide job, isn't going to be able to quite do it off of that middle line. He's going to go back to the bottom line. See what he's able to do. You see Lopresto getting taken 3 wide. He's going to lose 1 position. He's still on that bubble spot in the 3rd spot, but Alex Bergeron is coming in a hurry, so he's got to figure that thing out quick.
He's got to figure it out quick, that's for sure. Coming down to 4 laps to go. Almost bounced off somebody. I think slight tap to the wall for Troy Wegeman on that. Slide job again for Bergeron. This time, he's going to try and save it again. This time, he actually does save it again. Just absolutely close call there for Bergeron as we come to 2 laps to go. Earwood able to make a pass, but Bergeron quickly uses the bottom to get on by. He falls off back. But let's move towards that bubble because it is still a 3-car battle for the bubble. Chad Miller on the high side, John Lopresto on the low side, but Troy Wegeman trying to close on in 3 wide as Wegeman pulls off the slide job. Can he keep the momentum? As we have seen already, no. Bouncing, bumping, and baiting. 1 lap to go in the heat. John Lopresto in 3rd now after the bumping and baiting. Chad Miller trying to use the high line, which Troy Wegeman holding on to 2nd. Michael Sheridan quickly and easily wins heat number 5. We're going to have to take a look at the results on that close heat as it is Troy Wegeman Jr. and John Lopresto in your top 3 spots. Chad Miller 4th. Big storyline, Alex Bergeron finishes 5th in the heat. Hayden Earwood, Scott Bellum, Douglas Wyatt round out your field. Cody Olson in race control did not make the start.
And if we could get a replay on lap 9, I believe it was going into turn 3 and 4 with Wegeman. He pulled off one heck of a move through that middle, and that move right there got him into the next heat, or to the next main, to the A main.
Right now you see a bunch of drivers getting all set to go. It is the C main getting all set. Remember, the top 4 drivers move on to the B main, and then from the B main, then the best 9 cars will move on to the feature race. So that is to note here on this very quick session. Hayden Earwood, Jason Newgard will start from the front row. Larry Moody, Ernie Williams Jr., Paul Belfort, Scott Bellum, Randolph Chinnock, along with Terry Rennert, Sean Tucker, Mark Pinsky, Douglas Wyatt, Jason Minot, Scott Marr, Lindsey Hobbs, and Todd LeBeau round out your top 15 for today's C main.
And I've seen Alex Bergeron on that 112 had a lot of trouble in that 5th heat. Yeah, that 2nd incident he had was almost a carbon copy of his 1st incident. So he's going to have to come into one of these mains. I don't know which one he'll be set up in. We'll get that information to you. But he's going to have his work cut out for him. But he's luckily, he saved on to that sprint car as good as he did, because he almost hit that inside wall twice. And these drivers weren't careful. He still had a lot of speed because he almost made it into that 3rd position.
Almost did indeed, but had his struggles, ended up finishing 5th. For now, though, the drivers in the C main, they're trying to get to the B main as the green flag's out, and Hayden Earwood gets off to a fantastic start. All the way to the high side as he's going to run away from Larry Moody. It's already 3 wide, meanwhile, in the middle of the Hornet's Nest as they continue to battle. Randy Chinnock, he's getting pounced around and bounced around in the middle of the pack as he slips on back. A few different drivers pinball off each other. Sean Tucker and Jason Newgard as now they continue on. Meanwhile, Paul Belfort, he's going to be turned sideways. He is running into the back. He's going to flip upside down as Ernie Williams was the one who hit him, and he's probably going to have a ton of damage from that hit.
He is. He's going to have a ton of damage, as that was a nasty hit we've seen there, as these drivers are going toe-to-toe with the best of them. And we've got a battle for second place right now. That's Larry Moody in the number 73 and Scott Bellum in number 7.
And right now, you're seeing that close battle on your screen on the bottom side. That is Scott Bellum trying to get a run on the bottom. This time, he's actually very even with Larry Moody as they have to go around. I think the bottom's starting to work itself in because Scott Bellum has made the pass work. We have seen the momentum struggle off on the slide back on up. This time, Scott Bellum's able to hold on to the bottom line and get a run.
And the battle right now for that fourth and final transfer spot is Mark Pinsky. You see him hit the inside wall. Wow, what an unlucky break for him, and that's going to put Randy Cheneth in that fourth and final transfer spot, but he's going to have some tough work behind him. You see the number 02 of Terry Renner close on his tail, and there's trouble right behind him again with the number 45 of Lindsey Hobbs.
Pardon me for cutting you off, because coming to the checkered flag, I believe, it was a close finish for Hayden Earwood along with Scott Bellum. We're going to get you that replay immediately because they were side by side with Larry Moody finishing off in third. The final driver to move on to the B main, guess who? Randy Cheneth with Terry Renner, Lindsey Hobbs, Ernie Williams Jr., Douglas Wyatt, Jason Newgard, and Sean Tucker rounding out the top 10. Let's take a look at this finish, because we talked about the good run on the bottom before from Bellum. Well, the high side ended up prevailing to go for the checker flag.
Wow, what an awesome finish there. These drivers are bringing it too, as they will transfer in to that B main, and we're going to take 9 in this B main. The top 9 will transfer to the A main. So I think the spot to watch here is going to be that 9th and final position, because it was crazy back there in that C main.
It was definitely crazy in the middle of the Hornet's Nest as we look at your starting grid on the left side of your screen. Once again, today's broadcast presented by Southern Indiana Lawn Care as Emil Miller, David Flick, Dakota Kahn, Brandon Steele, Chad Miller, along with Greg Levin, start off in the top 6 positions. David Heileman starts off in 7 with Stephen Hill alongside him with CJ Laver. Alex Bergeron, who's looking to recover from a struggle in his heat race. Brock Garris, Brad Spittle, along with Michael Rosendahl, Dylan Settleman, and Hayden Earwood in your top 15.
And we got some fans chatting it up in there. Noah Helmers started a new hashtag with Blame Randy. So we're going to see if that one sticks throughout the rest of the night.
Yeah, you've got to see, that is for sure. If you're keeping track of hashtag Blame Randy, he is the second to last car on the grid. Larry Moody is starting shotgun on the field for this B main. The B main is 10 laps, so the same length as the heat races. So this might be a bit of an advantage for anyone in this B main. Meanwhile, Emil Miller gets off to a good start with David Flick side by side with him. They're going to go still side by side as Flick moves to the high side and gets the great run off of turn number 2. Emil Miller will run towards the bottom side as they are 4 wide for third spot. That is near disaster. They end up pulling it off, still 3 wide, as Dakota Kahn, Brandon Steele, and David Heileman are still 3 wide. He's trying to make the moves stick as Flick gets them along.
Back in the back.
And it is going to be an absolute parking lot on the front straightaway. 4 different drivers stopped off in that. Hayden Earwood, Scott Bellum, Larry Moody, some of the drivers involved. Let's take a look at the race spot replay. And you were not exaggerating on that wreck. That was an absolute pileup.
Yes, it was a huge wreck. And look at Randy Cheneth and that number 50 getting through there. Wow. Maybe you heard the whole Blame Randy hashtag, and he's showing us up there. But we have got one heck of a battle up front as these drivers are going nose to nose.
Pardon me for almost cutting you off there for a second as we come to the halfway mark, because one of them almost hit one of the pylons as Chad Miller tries to hold on to the spot that is in the middle of the Hornet's Nest. Remember, this is the top 9 moving on, so a lot of these drivers are fighting for the chance and for starting positions. Look at this absolute battle here on lap number 7. That group led by Dakota Khan, as right now tailing it off in 10th spot, Michael Rosendahl. He's trying to get a good run as he has Brandon Steele side by side with him. They're using the bottom and somebody hit the wall. Spinning around is Chad Miller, and he just had some bad luck here with just 2 laps to go this time by. And meanwhile, we've been focused on this back so much in the middle of the bubble that Alex Bergeron has pulled his way to second. An absolute remarkable recovery as he gets to the white flag with David Flick pulling away on the bottom side. Coming towards the checkered flag here in the B main has cars bump and bang in the middle of the Hornet's Nest. It'll be David Flick in first with Alex Bergeron second, David Heineman in third, and an absolutely phenomenally exciting B main.
And someone needs to go ahead and tell these drivers that these are sprint open wheel cars and not late models, because that's the most bumping and banging I think I've seen this entire series, as those drivers were giving it everything they've got.
They definitely were. We're going to look at your results right now. The top 9 are the ones moving on. David Flick, Alex Bergeron, David Heineman, Dakota Khan, Stephen Hill, Michael Rosendahl, along with Emil Miller, CJ LaVere, and Brandon Steele. Hayden Earwood, who came out with a strong C-main victory, is the one who does not move on the first one cut in the 10th spot for your B-main. With that, of course, it's time for, as you see the rest of your results, the server switch. As we mentioned last week, the server switch goes on for the Trophy Dash and for the A main. With that, we're going to go to a quick commercial break here for the American Dirt Series Sprint Car Series here from Lanier's National Speedway. We'll be right back with your Trophy Dash as well as the A main, along with interviews from everybody from Blame Randy to your top drivers after your B main. You're watching RaceSpotTV.
Crazy control. They're missing each other by an inch, sliding each other. I mean, they know what they're doing, and it's poetry in motion.
There's a fine line between great focus and obsession, and you got to make sure that you're still in the right side of that line where it doesn't start inhibiting your performance when you get here.
You have to know where the edge is, and a lot of times we go over it.
I actually, really enjoy dirt racing. Feels good to get in the car, and we have, great cars and engines and things at KKR, so it's nice to drive a fast sprint car.
Couple of separate lines developing, 3 wide action on a turn 2. Craig Kinzer, Casey Kane, and Kieran Pittman going at it.
I think the differences between, NASCAR and the sprint races on dirt is just a much different mindset. The way you drive your cars, the setup, the feel you're looking for. I think one of the hardest things to tell as a fan is when you're watching a race, whether it's a NASCAR race, a dirt race, is just what's really going on in the car. With iRacing, you can get the way that the track's changing, which they've done a great job in how the track changes throughout the night or throughout the race, just to try to capture it and let the fans play it and realize, like, man, there's actually a lot going on, and you can't always see that when you watch a race. So I think it's pretty neat. It's, enjoyable for me, but at the end of the day, it's actually much of a simulation, and there's a lot of ways that you can learn from that. And, early on, it was neat to look at the Cup tracks that I was going to, places that I had never been. So I think it kind of gives you a head start leading into a weekend. It's pretty real life, and that's pretty neat.
I grew up in Northern California. My parents were just really big race fans and took my sister and I to sprint car races pretty much every Friday and Saturday night. So I did outlaw kart racing from 7 till I was 14. And then that's when I got into 360 and 410 wing sprint cars. There's just something about dirt racing that's just, you can't get anywhere else. I enjoy going back to race them whenever I can. I get to run about 20 to 25 dirt races a year and try and put on a show every time I'm there.
Battle for the lead. Kyle Larson to the inside of Shane Stewart. Slide job, no. Larson unable to complete the pass. He'll follow Shane Stewart down the back straightaway. Stewart makes the move to the inside of Craig Kinzer. Kyle Larson goes around the outside out of turn 4. You've got a new race leader. Kyle Larson from 9th leads on lap number 23.
I'm probably just a little more relaxed, I guess, at the dirt track just because it's for fun, where the NASCAR stuff, it's points racing and a lot bigger sponsors and stuff you have to please and all that. You're there for 3 days a week, so your approach is a little bit different there, where sprint cars you're there for 5 or 6 hours and moving on to the next racetrack. So I've been on iRacing, I think, since 2009 or 10. Yeah, I remember, starting out, as a rookie on there, in the legends and the late models and stuff like that. And that was fun to, have to try and get your licenses up and stuff. But it's amazing to me how, now that I get to race on a lot of the tracks that are on there, how to the T, similar because of the laser scanning and stuff like that. So all the bumps and all the visual aspects of it are very good. So when I first got to like K&N and then the Nationwide Series at the time, I would race iRacing all the time to learn as much as I could about the racetrack before I went to the actual racetrack to race. So to me, it's just for fun now. So I enjoy going on there. Actually, I don't enjoy going on there all the time because I don't win a lot. So it's frustrating to see myself struggle to run top 10 in an Xfinity race or something like that and get beat by Logan Seavey every time I run a sprint car. So the level of competition on iRacing is better than real life. You've got thousands of drivers on there that, a lot of them are probably better than the people you see on TV. They just haven't had the opportunities to make it, but can kick butt on there, and you can spend all day long running thousands of laps a day, so you can get yourself, really good at it. So competition level is just unbelievable, really, on there. Everybody's been asking for dirt on there for forever. So when they announced it, I got really, really excited. And honestly, it's blown my expectations away. The cars, to me, drive really good when the track's hooked up. The visual part of the racetrack changing is amazing. How you can run some laps and see it start to get shiny, and then you feel it getting slick. Areas of the racetrack getting dirty, and then you get some cars run through there and it cleans off and gets grip back. It's nuts. The tear-off feature is really cool. Watching the wing move backwards and forwards. I run with the virtual reality headset too, so being able to like look down and see everything, it looks extremely realistic. So yeah, it blew my expectations away. And it's only going to get better, really.
Welcome everyone back to RaceSpotTV for more coverage of the American Dirt Series Sprint Car Series live from Lanier National Speedway. As we just seen a lot of entertaining action, that's for sure, with the heat races, along with the C and B mains. I'm Justin Prince, alongside me is Davis Richards, and along in the backdrop once again for today's broadcast is Hugo Ruiz. For what has been an entertaining night of action so far on this track. Now, as we get all set to go for the preparations for the Trophy Dash and for the A Main, let's remind you once again our proud sponsors for tonight's broadcast include Southern Indiana Lawn Care, Dirt Co. Media House, along with the Kings of Dirt, the CMF Motors Electrics, along with Down Under Graphics, Shoulder Forestry, and B Dirt 1934. And with that, of course, we have seen an entertaining night of racing from start to finish so far. Davis, what are your thoughts on what we've seen from the action, from what we've seen transitioning from having a high line main being a main line in the heats, all the way until both lines being worked up in that B main?
And we've seen a lot of awesome racing out there. These drivers were toe-to-toe. They were beating and banging. Like I said before, it looked like these drivers were in the late model series. So, hey, if that's anything to come, I think we're going to see a lot of heavy and hard fighting racing in that dash, and then consequently in that A main as well, because it looked like a hornet's nest, as we said time to time during those races, up in that middle of the pack for that transfer spot.
And right now, as you see things getting all preparated for the Trophy Dash, we're going to now speak with one of the top drivers from what we've seen in the heats, as well as in the action we've seen throughout the day, especially qualifying. We start off with Chris Brenner in the number 84 machine, as Chris Brenner joins us now here on RaceSpotTV. Chris, how are you after what has been a good night of action so far?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm happy with where we're starting on this thing.
Yeah, right now we got the details for that. Of course, you will be starting on the front row for the Trophy Dash for tonight. Of course, the invert number for today's Trophy Dash was 4. What are your thoughts on how the track is handling today based on what you felt for qualifying and in your heat race?
Well, the track's been pretty diverse. I'm sure you guys noticed a lot of bottom line groove action and a lot of top line groove action. I'm not sure what kind of track we're walking into on this next server, but it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
What kind of adjustments did you have to make to your driving style, if any, in the early for the action you have seen so far? And based on what you've seen from the C main and B main, what kind of adjustments might you be making for what you've seen in terms of how quickly the track changed? Because at one point, the high line was the main line, and the bottom side, you can do a slide job, but lost a lot of momentum. By the end of the B main, they were just about even.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough to figure this thing out. There's so many variables that go into this feature coming up. You know, you have your fuel that you have to worry about. You're playing the guessing game on how many cautions are going to be and trying to get that edge on the next guy as far as putting fuel in it. Then you got to worry about what line you're going to run. That determines how much fuel you're going to run. And there's just a lot of stuff that goes into this thing. It makes it very difficult to win these races.
Is there anything else you'd like to say before we let you go and get ready for your Trophy Dash?
Yeah, we got a lot of UW Motorsports teammates out there. There's quite a bit of them in this trophy dash, so watch out for those guys. We're all fast here tonight.
And we'll see if you can back up your words. That was Chris Brenner starting on the front row of the trophy dash for tonight's event here at Lanier. And some nice, interesting comments from him. Davis is now going to speak with someone that is starting to get a bit of a cult following. Blame Randy. Randy Cheneth will be now joining Davis Richards. Davis?
Hey Randy, this is Davis Richards up here in the Race Spot booth. Man, we've got a bit of a trend going on in the chat with the hashtag Blame Randy. We were watching you all night long. We're watching that helmet cam, which is a really cool feature with that live stream. Seen you miss the A main. Unfortunately, you made it last week, but this week, not as much luck. Just take us through those races and how challenging was it out there in the back of the field?
Oh, this American Dirt Series is challenging because everyone has so much talent, especially you look at the qualifying and, you know, everyone qualifies within pretty much, you know, a couple hundredths or so of the guy in front of them. And that's a lot of time on a stopwatch maybe, but it's not a lot of time out there on the racetrack. So, I mean, even saw from Alex Bergeron in that 112 car during his heat race, he kind of got shuffled back there. And there's a bunch of people he's probably a tenth or so quicker than in front of him, but really nowhere to go. The track wasn't overly racy for him at that point, so it's difficult to work through the fields. The first heat race, I was doing all right. You know, I started on the pole. I was actually, if anyone was watching my stream, I was sort of trying to figure out what heat race I was in, and it changed over. And I saw that not only did was I in the opening heat, but I won the pill draw, so to speak, when starting on the pole. I was having a good run there with the guys that were up near the front. Derek got around me pretty quick. I was also having fun with Rob and Max in that one. Unfortunately, me and Rob had a little coming together. I expected him to stay up along the top, and I think he ran the middle of the slick stuff. And I just barely got into him. It wasn't a hard hit, but the right front didn't like it, and it just basically killed the car. It was super tight after that, and it was just a struggle. And then the last couple mains were pretty hectic as well. The C main was really scary. Moved my way forward. Didn't think I was going to get it, but someone made a mistake. I think it was Mark, and basically plowed the wall all on his own, and that gave me the last transfer spot. And I was super close in that B main, only a couple spots away, but those guys out in front of me, once they sort of thinned themselves out a little bit, there was some incidents up there. Once it went down from about 14, 15 cars starting fighting for 9 spots to 9 cars fighting for 9 spots, they got a little bit nicer with one another, and that pretty much kills your chances of transferring when that happens.
Well, you can tell that you're a broadcaster turned racer, because that was a great analysis that you gave us there, and really made the viewers feel like they were in the car. Like I said, it's unfortunate you didn't make the A-main, but I've seen a lot of speed out of you, and you looked a lot faster than you were last week. So I can tell you're learning some different things and learning how these cars control. And if you keep it up, I think we're going to be seeing more and more of you in that A-main, and hopefully battling for the lead at one point as we get to the closing end of the season.
I may have looked faster, but I sure didn't feel it. I felt a lot more comfortable at Knoxville than I did here. One of the big problems I have right now is I struggle down around the bottom of the racetrack. I noticed that at Knoxville last week, and I sort of felt it here tonight. I'm definitely someone who likes to throw it up against the wall. Unfortunately, here at Lanier, the top side of the racetrack isn't really where you want to be, even when the slick gets up there, and that bottom can really work well. And I'm just, like I said, I just sort of struggle down there a little bit. Need to learn how to run it. I think it'll be a little bit better once I figure that out and get a little bit more consistent down there. I actually would have really liked if I had been in one of the later heat races, because that upper groove really came in. The heat race I was in, the bottom was a little bit slick, but it wasn't quite killed. But if I would have been out there, I think in heat 4 or 5, I may have been able to throw it up against the wall and been really strong, because that's where I really like running just universally. But hopefully I can. Next week is a new day, or is a new week, and hopefully I can get these cars a little bit more up to speed and dodge more amazing wrecks like I did in that B main where I picked up like 7 spots, because that was hectic.
Yeah, it was, but nonetheless, hard fighting out there. Great to see you as always, and look forward to watching your race next week. And we're gonna have to get some hashtag Blame Randy shirts made in the RaceSpotTV store.
Who is perpetuating that into the dirt oval sim racing community? That started from my road team at Chimera, so who's passing that along?
I'll let them comment. I'll let them make a comment in the chat on the stream if they want to call themselves out or let you go on a little Easter egg hunt up there.
I'll just scroll up. I've had the thing open the whole time. It's probably Jamie. Jamie probably stayed up for once in his life. Oh,
Yeah.
no, never mind. It was Hugo.
Well, Randy, hate to let you go here, but we got one more interview waiting before we start that trophy dash. But good luck as always, and we'll see you soon.
Yep, good luck to everyone in the feature, and here's to hashtag blame Randy putting it in the feature next week.
And some interesting words, that's for sure, going from Randy to Davis, as we're going to have just a couple quick questions for one of your fastest drivers today, starting off in row number 3, Robert Kurtsetter. Rob, how are you feeling coming into the trophy dash?
Pretty good. We got a good car, so see how it goes.
So what kind of adjustments are you making after seeing how the drivers were, how the track was changing, I should say, for the first session, especially now? The session's set to automatically start off at 55% track usage.
Well, probably tighten the car up a little bit, usual things that we do for slicker tracks, of course, so not a whole lot. Cars are pretty good for that. That's pretty much how we run them a lot, so pretty ready to go.
Ready to go indeed. We'll let you get ready real quickly here. Thank you very much for the time, Rob. We'll let you focus on your trophy dash.
Thank you.
That was Rob Kurtsetter, as we are now just about set to go for the trophy dash. As what are your quick thoughts before things get going here back at Lanier, before we get back into the action here on the dirt?
Well, I had some great commentary by all three of those drivers. Gave us some great insight to how these cars handled and the different challenges that these drivers face. So definitely going to be something to watch here and to watch these drivers see what lane they go in this dash. So I think this dash is going to tell a lot about what we're going to see in that A main.
That's for sure. Right now the tracks are getting all set to, drivers I should say, are getting all set to go on the track for the start of the action. Remember, a reminder for the trophy dash, it is a 15-lap event. And as noted once before, in the previous broadcast, I should say, the caution laps do not count for the overall totals for the race. That will count, however, the caution laps once it gets to the A main.
Yes, it will. So that's something to keep in mind as well as we go move forward here. So definitely interesting to watch, and I think the drivers are going to put on the show.
Drivers should definitely put on a show as they roll themselves onto the track as we get all set to go. This is going to be an interesting trophy dash. You see the drivers taking a pace lap.
Yes, they are. They're taking that pace lap there, getting all warmed up, getting ready. Warming up those tires, you would say, which is not really important here for these dirt machines. So we're going to see a lot of heavy action, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
See the last of the drivers now taking to the track. Now here's your starting grid as they get all sorted out together for what will be, once again a reminder, a 15-lap trophy dash. It'll be Derek Fisher and Chris Brenner starting off in the front row for this dash. Cody Hartlaub along with Brennan Roxbury, Michael Sheridan, and Robert Kurtsetter will start alongside Cole Newhoffen and Lewis Hewitt. Austin Carr and Troy Wagaman Jr. will round out your 10-car field here for this trophy dash. So a lot of big names, that is for sure. Who is your favorite for the trophy dash today?
You know, I gotta go with head number 84 machine. Seen a lot of speed out of him, and I think he's gonna bring it here tonight. It's gonna get him a good starting spot for this A main.
Speaking of start, we're underway here for the trophy dash. As Brennan Roxbury tries to get a good run on the bottom side, does. He'll move himself into the slick as they go in between each other and 3 wide. Everyone comes out safely as in the end, that helps Cody Hartlaub. And now he's going to go bumper to bumper once again, tire to tire, I should say, bouncing off again of Roxbury as they continue to get very close down the front straightaway. And a good start to this trophy dash.
It is indeed that number 39 of Derek Fisher leading the way, but there's a monsoon behind him coming in a hurry as these drivers are 2 wide, 3 rows deep going into the corner, almost 3 wide right there coming out of turn 2 as they come into 3 and 4. They're all going to go up to that high line, but there's one lone strangler on that bottom side. He's going to have to see if he can make it work or if he's going to move up to that high side.
And right now, everyone's starting to move towards the high side, except for your leader, Derek Fisher. He's still making the middle to bottom work right where that slick is. It is 3 wide, meanwhile, battling for 4th spot. Brendan Roxbury, though, still hangs on, but he's going to try and ride into the slick. He makes it work on the exit as Lewis Hewitt on the high line, trying to ride along with the cushion. Meanwhile, Derek Fisher still trying to work into the bottom. Cody Hartlob is starting to close right on in with Chris Brenner, though, along the cushion.
And there was contact between the 666 of Lewis Hewitt and the 27 of Robert Kurtzer. They being bank wheels just a tad, and that's going to put that number 27. He's going to use that low line. He's going to swing right in front of him. Is there 3 wide going into the middle of the corner, coming out of it? Who's it going to be? They're going to make contact, and they're going to still be able to hold on to it. It's foul. I can't believe the number 27 held on to that one. It's going to take him back just a tad, but he's still on that low side of that 666. So Lewis Hewitt, look at the 666 making that high line work, using that cushion with everything he's got, but he's got a fast pack of drivers coming in right behind him.
Right in front of that fast pack of drivers, Cody Hartlob is in the wall. He's in the wall as he spins it around. He's going to have to try and get ongoing. Bad luck for him, bouncing off the tires alongside Chris Brenner. Let's take a look at the RaceSpotTV replay as they bring out the caution flag.
The tough break for that Dirt Code Media House machine of Cody Hartlob. As you see him going to the corner, just gets into it with the number 84 of Chris Brenner. Tough break for him right there, and that's going to put him at the end of the pack in this dash. So I think his car's going to be too damaged to make any progress, but anything can happen there. And you're seeing him then again just hits into that 84 and hits that outside wall, and then finally gets you going straight. But that will bring out the caution, and that's going to erase the number 39 of Derek Fisher's huge lead. He had about a 1.5 seconds or so on these drivers. But a car that I've been watching, that's that 666 of Lewis Hewitt. He's made his way into that 3rd position, but that 27 of Robert Kurtzer, we just recently spoke to him. He's showing a lot of aggression out there, so we're going to have to see if he's still going to use that aggression and find his way to the top.
All the drivers, meanwhile, right alongside the cushion as they sort things out. As there is a few laps to go here for the trophy dash. Estimates say around 7 to go. We are waiting for the official confirmation on the lap total to go as they start grading themselves up here towards the pit lane. It's going to be coming towards, I believe, 1 to go this time by here across the Lanier National Speedway, which, of course, started off as a dirt track when the facility opened in 1982, before in real life being paved in the mid-1980s. We have our official confirmation. Meanwhile, by the way, there is officially 3 laps to go. 3 laps to go right when we take the green flag here for the trophy dash. Everyone's trying to rush for the trophies as we're back underway. As we got major trouble, your favorite is around Lewis Hewitt. 2 drivers are going to bounce off the walls. Newhofen and Curbsetter are going to be 2 of those drivers involved. Caution is right back on out.
And that caution, remember, caution laps do not count. Tough break for the 666 of Lewis Hewitt. Really hate to see the Aussie getting in some damage like that, and the 27 of Robert Kurtzer, but I do believe these drivers will get their positions back. And yes, in fact, they will get their positions back. So they're going to have to see if they had any damage and if it affects them. As you're watching the replay right there, and you just see a big swarm of mess with the 666 of Lewis Hewitt getting the most of the damage. As they're going to show the replay here again. See the 666 on the inside. He just gets spun around by the number 8 of, who is that? The number 8 is Cole Newhofen. So tough break for them.
Yeah, Newhofen, he does have damage. As you see on the front, How much is that going to impact him here for this race in terms of how it handles? You mentioned about how it will affect the drivers. How will that specific type of damage really affect them? As pardon me, though, they're going to bring the green flag right on back out with 3 laps to go still here for the trophy dash. As Derek Fisher going to go towards the high side alongside the cushion. Chris Brenner going to try and get a good run. He is bobbling and weaving, trying to hold on to his momentum, and he does so. Moving towards the middle, towards the by side. Once again, Fisher on the exit as they come towards the final couple laps here for the trophy dash. Derek Fisher trying to move to the bottom side, hold on to his spot. Chris Brenner second. Lewis Hewitt, after a spin like a top table, still in third spot as Derek Fisher passes the start and finish line. This is going to be your finish as Derek Fisher wins the trophy dash over Chris Brenner.
Crazy racing right there. Now, I'm seeing a little bit of contact on those cool-down laps with some other drivers in there, so that's going to be something to watch there too. Because I don't think these drivers are getting too happy. We're getting later and later in this season, and this is when we start to see some tempers start to flow with these drivers. Is in the first race there's a little bit of contact, they might throw it off, but if it keeps happening, you're going to see some aggression. You might see a little bit of payback here later.
Right now, as you see, they're lining up with the final results. Derek Fisher, Chris Brenner, Lewis Hewitt, Robert Kurtsetter, alongside with Austin Carr, Troy Wegeman, along with Michael Sheridan, Brendan Roxbury, and Cole Newhoffen round out your top 9 with Cody Hartlow right at the back. So those are your results here for the Trophy Dash this evening. As now, the main focus is preparing for practice and preparing the lineups for the main event, folks, here. The A-Main, what in real life is now a go-kart track facility. It's going to be absolutely exciting here for the American Dirt Series Sprint Cars here at Lanier National Speedway. We'll be back in just a moment for the start of your A-Main, presented by Southern Indiana Lawn Care and Dirt Co. Media House.
Crazy control.
I grew up in Northern California. My parents were just really big race fans and took my sister.
It's poetry in motion.
There's a fine line between great focus and obsession, and you got to make sure that you're still in the right side of that line where it doesn't start inhibiting your performance when you get here.
You have to know where the edge is, and a lot of times we go over it.
And welcome back, everyone, to RaceSpotTV for more coverage of the American Dirt Series Sprint Cars live from the Lanier National Speedway. They call these sprint cars for a lot of reasons. One of them, it has been a very fast track meet of events so far. Hour and 15 minutes have gone by from when we started off our qualifying all the way to the big event, the A main here on this very small circuit of just under a fourth of a mile. I'm Justin Prince, alongside me is Davis Richards as we tee you up for the main event with Hugo Louise helping us along with what should be an exciting A main of 55 laps. As you see with the race details are exactly the same with the temperature 65 degrees Fahrenheit for today's race, along with no winds whatsoever. Track conditions before qualifying started off at 55%, for the trophy dash. And now, with some more wear added on from the practice and the trophy dash, I'll be excited to see what happens here for this event. Remember, there is a 5 laps of pace laps to help tee us off for the start of this event as they prepare to get things undergo. What are your quick thoughts before we start things off here, Davis?
You know, I think we're going to see some awesome racing here in this A main, this American Dirt Series presented by Dartco Media House and Southern Indiana Lawn Care. Had to get our advertisements in there, but we've seen some wild racing in that dash and in the previous mains and heat races, so definitely going to be some drivers to watch out there. I'm really liking, again, I know I talk about him week in and week out, but I'm really liking that 666 of Lewis Hewitt. And the 27 of Robert Kerstetter as well. He's definitely going to be one to watch. And then another guy's going to be starting in the back of the pack. That's Alex Bergeron. So going to have to see if he's able to come from the back. Or I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about. He got the pole from the invert. So he's going to be starting on that inside in P1 position.
You gotta remember for a split second, they do have things set up. We'll see how they sort themselves out officially as things get underway in just a few moments here on RaceSpotTV. Of course, the rest of our sponsors for tonight's coverage include the Kings of Dirt, CMF Motors Electrics, along with Down Under Graphics, Simona Forestry, and B-Dirt 1934. And as you see, everyone's now going to hit the track right now as we get you prepared for what will be an exciting race. That is for sure. Remember that this is a 5-lap pace lap to set everything up and to organize the entire field. You see them all trying to get used to the conditions of the track, as here is your official starting grid. Derek Fisher starts off in the front row today, along with Chris Brenner. Chris Brenner having a strong day so far. He's feeling positive about this race. Lewis Hewitt, one of the main favorites for Davis Richards today, starts alongside Robert Kerstetter, who set the pole for this event for today after having a very strong start and very confident in himself as well, as he said in his interviews. Austin Carr and Troy Wegeman start off in row number 3, followed by Michael Sheridan, Brendan Roxbury, Conan Newfton, along with Cody Hartlow. Start off in the top 10. Max Stambrel and Steven Reynolds start off in 11 and 12. Tim Smith and Anthony Lepresto start off in row number 7. John Lepresto will fall right on behind them with David Flick. Alex Bergeron, who had a struggle of a time in qualifying at point just the 5th fastest qualifying, struggled in his heat. He will start 17th with David Heidelman starting alongside him. Dakota Khan and Stephen Hill round out your top 20 for the field. And rounding out the grid, Michael Rosendahl, Emil Miller, CJ LaVere, and Brandon Steele. And as we have about 4 laps around the racetrack, as they finally sort things out for the grid, how do you feel the track is going to change based on what we've seen from the time trials all the way up through the heats into the C main, and what we've seen throughout, just for example, the trophy dash itself?
Well, I think we're going to see a lot of those drivers start to use that top lane, but it's going to be interesting to see who tries to use that bottom lane and who goes there first. But back to the point where I was making, where I messed it up a little bit there with Alex Bergeron. I'm just going to blame Randy for that mistake. He's going to be starting in the back of the field, so he's going to, and when I say in the back of the field, he is way back there. So I'm going to see how much aggression he uses to get up towards the front and how he reacts to these different track changes. But like I previously said, I think the top side is going to be the groove to go to in the beginning, and then these drivers are going to start to go to the bottom of the track. So it's going to be a lot of different strategies coming into play tonight for this A main.
Yeah, of course, Alex Bergeron to run me down with the points right now for the top 5. It's Alex Bergeron in the front of the points with 295, Tim Smith with 281 in second, Anthony Lepresto in third with Michael Sheridan and Chris Brenner rounding out your top 5. What's your strategy if you're up at the front right now for the start of this as they get themselves prepared real quick?
You're just going to want to stay at the front. You do not want to get back in that hornet's nest. We've seen it previously, and if you do get back, it could be bad.
And right now, we're underway here for the 55 laps for the A main as Derek Fisher leads them along on the bottom groove. They'll have a nice good run moving up as they go bumping a little bit. Robert Kurtzever bumped the back of Chris Brenner for a split second. They're still going a little bit of a hold up in the middle of the hornet's nest, but they are still safe. Single file for the top 3. Lewis Hewitt, he's not waiting early on for the charge as he's trying to get a move early on Austin Carr on the high line, to the point where he's bouncing off the walls, trying to make the move as they continue to go side by side right on behind them.
And we've got some racing going on there. 4, almost 5 wide in the back of that pack, and behind it all is Alex Bergeron just waiting to make his move. You see him use the top side, going to take it 3 wide. He's not going to be able to clear him quite just yet. He's got to be careful here as there is racing all over this track. And look at him use that cushion and the way he's going around that track and trying to get every single bit he can. We've got some contact up in the middle of the field as well, and there's just so much going on here. I can't even stay focused.
And that's what happens to the craziest. Bergeron, though, he's hooked up. He's going to get clipped from behind as well. Still keeps it straight. Anthony Lepresto was the one who bumped into him behind. Very close call for Bergeron for the split second as he'll ride on the cushion still.
A very close call indeed, as they were 4, almost 5 wide right there. He's lucky that it wasn't as bad as it was. Going to have to see if he gets any damage on that machine and how it will affect him. As he just can't make his way to the front. There is such a traffic jam in the middle. There's contact right in front of him. As you see the number wide sprint car machine goes into the wall, he somehow gets it going straight.
That was David Flick still keeping it straight. Everyone keeping things clean in the early going. 47 laps to go as Alex Bergeron is currently up to 14th after starting near the back of the field. Meanwhile, Michael Sheridan up a few spots behind them. He's trying to keep on this battle right now with Tim Smith as they go side by side right now. That is around your top 10 right now. As great passing from Sheridan, using the bottom side all the way to almost bumping the wall. Just trying to get the proper slide by. I think that bump, slight touch to the wall, lost him a ton of momentum. And now he's got Bergeron coming right on behind him, just 2 spots back.
He does. Michael Sheridan, that number 91, but she's the first driver I've seen that started to use that lower side, and you see them all start to get lower and lower now as the low side is coming more into play. You don't see as many drivers using that top side. You don't see how these drivers play into it and play it back, because I believe that low side is where the speed's at, but to pass them, you're going to have to go on that top side and find some momentum. But back in front of the field, we see the number 39 of Derek Fisher. He's about to get into some lap traffic here, so we're going to have to see how that plays. And we're really seeing a strong run from that 39 of Derek Fisher. I knew he had a lot of speed. He just got in some bad luck in the previous races, and he's really showing us what he can do tonight here at Lanier.
And you're taking the words right out of my mouth. That was exactly the next point I was going to bring up. You're looking at the back of Derek Fisher, trying to hold off Chris Brenner. Fisher changing up his line this time as he's going a little bit more towards the middle of the track for his exit on the slide, as he is still riding on the bottom. Brenner's going even low on the bottom. Lap traffic, though, that is CJ Rivera, Amino Miller, and Brandon Steele that the top three drivers are about to have to deal with. As you see Chris Brenner right now trying to use that bottom. He is not tapping the wall right there with the tightness, and it's going to be a very tight situation as there's the lap traffic.
And he made contact with that lap traffic machine as well. Don't know how bad it's going to affect him. You see the car right in front of him. He's going to hit the wall. Lucky break there that he didn't come down and run into the 39 of Derek Fisher. So, like we said, this lap traffic is playing a huge role, a bigger role than we thought. So you've got to plan your moves ahead of time. And if not, you're going to see that number 84, Chris Brenner, like he's doing now, catch him and try to make the passes. He's going to go on the low side, and he's not going to be able to pull it off. So I believe before too long, the 84 Chris Brenner will catch him.
And right now it's just going to take a little bit of time to set things up. There is still 35 laps to go. A lot can happen as they end up passing by Brandon Steele. Now it's clean sailing for the time being for the top three. As right now, everyone else past the top three, they're going to have to start working on them in just a bit right now. But right now, it's been these three drivers able to pull on away, as it is Fisher leading by just 0.2 of a second over Chris Brenner for the time being. Robert Kurtsetter is in third, 0.8 on back. Austin Carr is the next car back, 3 seconds behind the top three you're seeing on your screen. As Fisher still using the higher line. Brenner trying to slide towards the bottom still and get the best run he can, as it has been working so far for Fisher. As there is a caution out across the racetrack. It's on the front stretch. It's Steven Reynolds and Michael Sheridan.
Oh, and I was just about to bring up that we haven't had any cautions tonight, so we might have seen some fuel strategies. We're going to take a look at a replay right here with that number 115 of Steven Reynolds. As we're going to go live right here with the replay. You see him with that number 91, and that 91 just gets a little loose. It broke his momentum. That 115 just had nowhere to go. Was carrying way too much momentum on that high side of the track and just ran right into him as you see them collect each other and slide down to the bottom of the track.
And a little note after that incident too, Steven Reynolds had passed by the entrance and was a full 180 degrees around. He had to use a tow truck to get himself back to where he needed to be. As they continue to shuffle themselves around, there's still 30 laps to go as they prepare themselves to restart and try and get themselves lined up with the official pace truck for iRacing. How do you feel about that first stint, and how, with that first incident, fuel might start coming into play if this continues to happen?
Yeah, and you can see how far back these drivers are from that pace truck, and I do believe they are saving fuel as you see them double wide. But just look at that number 27 of Robert Kurtsetter. Not sure where he comes. The pace car is off, and they're green flag.
Might have been waiting to try and get the biggest jumps possible, trying to hold themselves up, as Derek Fisher ends up getting a good start. Chris Brenner still close, as we have a bit of contact in the backside. Things are still safe right now in the middle of the hornet's nest after the first lap around. Kurtsetter, meanwhile, though, him and Austin Carr, they had a little bit of close calls throughout the trophy dash, and they are still bumping and banging a little bit. You see Carr right on the back bumper of Kurtsetter right now, trying to get a good run from the cushion, through the slick, I should say, through the middle side, and trying to now run on that middle side for a good run. They are still 4 wide, right behind them, down to 3, and back down to 2.
And you see 3 wide action right there with Lewis Hewitt and the 666 on the outside. They've been 3 wide for the last couple of laps. Hits the wall a little bit, gets a little contact with that middle car. Still able to go straight. Lewis Hewitt and that 666 is making that high side work. Almost contact again. They're still making contact. They can't figure it out. These drivers, they've got to get it going in single file or something's going to happen and we will see a wreck. And you see him still again. Lewis Hewitt's loving that cushion, loving that top side. This is where most of the action is on the racetrack, is you're not missing a thing up front.
Well, right now, main reason to say that too, look who's right on behind them, just a couple cars back. Alex Bergeron in 11th spot now, right on behind the 2x2. You see him trying to figure his way through the Hornet's Nest. He is riding through the middle line for the time being. Now going a bit lower to get a good run. 3 wide now. He's going to have to back on off as he's going to have to try and plan this out. He now moves himself to the top 10 with the slide job. Can't keep the momentum, but might do so here out of 3 and 4, trying to hold up the driver beside him and Cole Newton. And now Bergeron's trying to still make it work. Still very close action up in that pack. Bergeron's trying to make his charge after the struggles early on throughout tonight's events.
And you're right, I just got to think that Alex Bergeron's just being too conservative out here, and this conservative is hurting him as he's not able to get around these drivers, and he's just stuck. As we see a little bit of contact right through back, 2 drivers get into each other. We're still green flag, we're still trying to get it under control, but we're still green flag action here tonight. As you see, that number 112 of Alex Bergeron still stuck back there, can't make anything work, and he's having a really hard problem. But as we go back to the front of the pack, as you have that number 39 of Derek Fisher still on the lead by about 3/10 over the number 84 of Chris Brenner, with the 27 of Robert Kerstetter right behind him. And man, Derek Fisher, he's got this thing on cruise control.
He does for sure right now. He currently holds about a half-second lead, give or take, over Chris Brenner last time by the stripe. That is about 1.3 seconds ahead of Robert Kerstetter, still in the 3rd spot. He is having a good run, using a very different line, using the middle groove, and then having a strong exit on the slide, not keeping his momentum for Derek Fisher, and then going back towards near the bottom and keeping the same pace. But this time, Chris Brenner's trying to go for the good take. There's 13 laps to go. It's put it or show it time for the rest of the field.
It is, and Derek Fisher is going to catch lap traffic again, and this is going to be the 84 of Chris Brenner's best chance to make the pass. He's got to analyze the situation up in front of him, see what these lap cars are going to do, and then make his move right there.
Gotta wait for the right time. It takes multiple laps to set up for the pass. It is the same case right here across the circuit. It has been very close up near the front. You're still watching that shot as it's now side by side with the lap car and a little bit of a touch. Still keeping the lead though, Fisher, almost a scary moment. But now it sets up Brenner. Great run off of 2. He's trying to make it work on the bottom. He bubbles a bit. Side by side, it's Brenner leading at the stripe. 10 laps down to 9 to go.
And Chris Brenner, like I said, he was able to use that lap traffic to his advantage. He's using that low side. Is he going to clear him? Look at the run that Derek Fisher is going to get as they're side by side going into the corner. Who's going to come out of here in front? I think Derek Fisher is going to get the momentum, and Chris Brenner pulls up right beside him. I don't know who's going to be that top low line is really showing some problems for Derek Fisher. He wants to get on that bottom, but he can't use the bottom because Chris Brenner is hogging it up.
Yes, right now, as they continue to go battling right now, the car did spin out, no caution, as we stay focused on the leaders. Brenner is now starting to pull away a bit on the bottom as Fisher rides along the cushion, trying to change up his line. Very strong dig into the corner, trying to close up the gap, and Fisher just about made it work. He's back near the back bumper. A little bit different throttle control being decided upon from Fisher, that is for sure, as he's trying to get the lead on back. Lap traffic is to be dealt with right up in front of them, as that could be becoming a determining factor here, coming to 3 laps to go. Brenner holding on to the bottom side in the lead with Derek Fisher, trying to change it up. He goes to match the line now. Robert Kurtzetter, he's falling and fading it behind fast as Brenner tries to look and try and focus on the back mirror with the lap traffic in front. 3 laps to go here at Lanier. As right now, Brenner trying to go for the dig on the bottom. Fisher's out of fuel. Fisher's out of fuel. And with 1 lap to go, it's going to set up Chris Brenner in a dominating fashion, able to get the win, as this is going to be victory number 1 this season for Brenner.
You've seen Derek Fisher run out of gas. He ran out of gas. I was watching him. He was slowing up a little bit. And I think that's why the 84 Chris Brenner was able to get around him. And he was trying to save some fuel. And we've got some more aggression showing up in the back of the field. Some drivers are not happy with each other. But just what a heartbreaker for the number 39 of Derek Fisher. But Chris Brenner in the 84 machine is going to take the victory.
We seen it last week at Knoxville, where fuel mileage came into play, where drivers had to save fuel, and it ended up helping for the victory for Carr. This week, Brenner is the one who gets it paying off with the fuel strategy as he takes the checker flag today here at Lanier, here in beautiful Georgia. And a good victory for him overall. Let's take a look at your final results real quickly as Brenner finished up in front of Robert Kurtzetter, Austin Carr, Tim Smith, Alex Bergeron. He made the charge up from 17th to 5th to go for a top 5 finish. Lewis Hewitt, Max Stambrell, Dakota Kahn, along with David Flick and John Lopresto, rounded out your top 10. Anthony Lopresto finished 11th with Cole Newfin, as well as Michael Sheridan and Michael Rosendahl, Stephen Hill, David Heineman, Cody Hartlob, Britton Roxbury, CJ LaVere, and Derek Fisher round out your top 20 as they finish laps down near the end of that top 20. Emil Miller also finished 2 laps down. Brandon Steele 3 laps down. Stephen Reynolds had to pull off the track. The Canadian finished off with the DNF. Also finishing with DNFs, Troy Wegeman, as well as, of course, your race control drivers. With that, after an exciting A main and what was an absolute track sprint of an event scheduled tonight, we'll have your post-race interviews in just a few moments here for the American Dirt Series Sprint Cars here from Lanier National Speedway in just a moment here on RaceSpotTV.
Crazy control. They're missing each other by an inch, sliding each other. I mean, they know what they're doing, and it's poetry in motion.
There's a fine line between great focus and obsession, and you got to make sure that you're still in the right side of that line where it doesn't start inhibiting your performance when you get here.
You have to know where the edge is, and a lot of times we go over it.
Well, after a wild A main, it's Chris Brenner who's the one who comes out on top at Lanier today. As you're watching the American Dirt Car Series Sprint Cars for your post-race coverage, presented once again by Southern Indiana Lawn Care and Dirt Co Media House. It was an exciting race, that's for sure, Davis, and especially a strong run from Chris Brenner, with the exciting finish capped off with one driver running out of fuel on the last lap once again.
Yes, you're right, and that was a heartbreaker for Derek Fisher. He led the majority of this race, but we've seen it last week too, with these drivers just not putting enough fuel in these machines, and it ended up biting him really hard. He lost a victory. Well, I wouldn't say lost a victory because Chris Brenner had passed him, but I would have loved to see a battle to the checkered flag there.
And right now we're going to go and speak to our race winner today in Chris Brenner. And Chris Brenner joining us here on RaceSpotTV after coming away with his first victory on the season. Chris, how are you feeling after coming on top today here at Lanier?
Well, I'm a little shaky. My arms hurt, and that was one of the most intense drives I've ever done. That was a hell of a race there by everybody.
Yeah, you said it was a hard drive just now. How was it a hard drive? Because we've seen at the start, it was the top that was the strongest line. By the end of the race, it was the bottom.
Yeah, I was playing around a little bit in that warm-up session before the feature, and it looked like the middle line seemed a little bit quicker than either top or bottom. But in the beginning of that feature, that disappeared almost instantly. And I didn't have enough fuel in my car to run that top, so I just hung it on the bottom and just played around to see what worked and what didn't. Hitting that little strip on 4 exit real low, I think I was able to get a really good drive on Derek up there in front. And then the battle was on once I caught him.
How was it with the battle, though, with Derek before he ran out of fuel? Talk us through what the battle was like once things got back underway after the one caution and ended up finishing off under green before he ran out of fuel.
Well, I got excited when I started getting real close to him. I finally stuck my nose in there coming off one of the exits. I don't remember which side of the track it was, but gosh, he might be the fastest guy on that track out there. So to beat him is just amazing for me. I had to run a perfect race, honestly. I don't know if I could duplicate what I just did there. So everything went in my favor, and I got lucky there.
Is there anyone else you'd like to thank or anything else you'd like to say before we let you go and celebrate your victory?
Yeah, you guys up in the broadcast booth, RaceSpot, you guys do an amazing job on the broadcast. It's one of the most professional things I've seen. Really enjoy going back and watching these. Teammates at UW Motorsports, we had a lot of guys in this feature. We all did pretty good. Shout out to those guys. Cody, Durflinger, the guys that run ADS. Hell of a series. I get excited every time it's Monday. So I'm looking forward to the next one, and we'll see if we can keep this momentum going.
And always a good sign when you feel excitement on a Monday. Thank you very much, Chris, for the time.
Thanks, Justin. Take care.
You too. Thank you very much. That was Chris Brenner, today's race winner, as Davis Richards has our second place finisher for today. Right now, after a close battle up at the front, it was coming away with second, Robert Kurtsetter. Robert? Davis?
Hey, Robert. This is Davis up here in the RaceSpotTV booth. Man, awesome run there. Pulling out a second place finish. Seen a lot of speed from you the entire night, man. Take us through those laps. How much was the track changing, and how are you able to combat the changes?
Yeah, it was getting tight. I was, slick. I'm sorry. Just moving my wing back a lot, trying different lines. The bottom, right on the wall. That's where he had to be, I thought, and try not to hit it. That's the biggest thing.
Well, we're watching out there too, and you and the number 13 of Austin Carr, y'all were running side by side for the majority of the race, but I seen a bit of contact between you two drivers at the end of that race. What was that all about?
I don't know. You can ask him that. I have no idea. I don't have a problem with him. You know, if he has an issue with me, he can talk to me about it, but I have no problem with him.
But then again, fast car out there, you were talking about the different changes you made to the car. Did you make any major setup changes between the heats and the mains?
Not really. I mean, like I said, we usually run the track like that. So my car is already set up for a slick track. So and you watch Derek, we're pretty close on the same setup. So and he has a fast car too. He just unfortunately ran out of fuel.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate for him indeed. And we've seen that last week as well with drivers running out of fuel. But again, awesome watching you race. You put on a show week in and week out, and you've got a very fast sprint car out there. And we know you'll be out at the front and be able to get one of these checkered flags here soon before the end of this season. But can't wait to see you out there next week. But before I let you go, you got anyone out there you want to thank?
Yeah, teammates at TSR. That's how we get good. We run together all the time, and that makes us better. And also Drew Neal, he does all our paints for us, so thanks to him. And thank you guys for doing the broadcast. So thanks, guys.
Well, thank you as always, and we'll see you out there next week, Robert.
All right, thank you.
And that was Davis Richards with Rob Curbsetter after coming away with a second place finish for the Mifflinburg, Pennsylvania native. Now joining us here for our final interview of the night, coming away in third spot, meanwhile, was Austin Carr. Austin, how are you feeling after finishing in the top 3 today?
Yeah, I felt good. Lanier is probably it's the best track on the game. I mean, you can run side by side mostly the whole time, and the track tonight was really good. Just wish the top probably would have came in a little bit sooner. And at least probably had a couple of cautions. I mean, it definitely would have helped just bunch things back up a little bit, made it a little bit more interesting. But it was definitely a fun race, and felt good to at least finish up front with all these guys.
Yeah, right now, we just showing up on the screen, in fact, to some people, was a little tiny bit of contact. It was close racing between you and the 27 of Robert Kurtzetter. What was going on with that intense action, basically, throughout the race today between you and Kurtzetter?
Nothing really. I just hope one day they just take out the mirrors in this thing. It definitely help out a little bit. But nothing really. It was just kind of bugging me with the way the track was in the beginning. And after that first caution, the middle was kind of there, and he just kept sliding up in front of me, and I about spun him out a couple times because I was just kind of getting sick of it. But it's nothing really. It's just racing, and if I was that much faster, I would have got around him. But Rob's a good guy, and it was good to race on him. He's really fast on these things, and just got to tune on a little bit and probably destroy them next week.
I just wanted to ask you about that to follow up with a question from Davis, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens, of course. Today, though, to keep the focus on that, your Dirtco Media House sprint car today, what kind of adjustments did you make from when you first started off today with your strong qualifying runs all the way up to the A main in the end?
I mean, really just move the wing a little bit. I mean, I really got to start practicing more on fuel. Like I filled it all the way up, and that's just killing me. I finished like 8 gallons. So I mean, it's just kind of odd. I figured there'd probably be a little bit more cautions, but definitely just got to practice more with fuel because these guys are testing the waters with it running out so fast. But I guess it's better to go full like that, but it's going to kill you with speed. And I think in the beginning, if we would have had a little bit less fuel, we probably would have made a little bit more moves.
And just out of curiosity, what was the fuel level you did have for the finish? Because, of course, one car did run out who was battling for the lead, of course, and Derek Fisher.
Yeah, I crossed the line with like 8.3 gallons left. So, I mean, yeah, that was definitely killing me a little bit there, and I was scrubbing off speed. But if I would have been that much faster, I probably would have got up there. But probably a caution with like 10 or 12 laps to go with that top coming in as it did. It was treacherous, but it would make for a good race.
Is there anyone you would also like to thank, or I should say anything else you would like to say before we let you get going and celebrate your top 3 finish?
I just got to thank UDSRA Motorsports, Michael Rosendahl, Kevin Loveys, Dave Flick, Troy Wagaman. A lot of us made the feature today. Dirtco Media House, Tim Hunt Designs, Virtual to Reality. They run on Fridays. Everybody should check that out. It's a good series to run. I definitely got to thank y'all up in the booth. You guys put on a great show, and it's amazing.
Thank you very much for the time, Austin. And that was Austin Carr coming away with a 3rd place finish today here in today's events here at Lanier. Exciting action, that is for sure. Davis, what are your final thoughts before we give you the quick rundown for next week's race?
Man, just an awesome race out there. Seen some aggression from these drivers, and hey, it's racing. You know, I've been in the driver's seat before, and things get heated, and you make some decisions that you might regret later on after you look back at it and after you calm down. So, again, just awesome race. These drivers do an awesome job here. Some of the fastest racing I've seen. They know how to get it done in these sprint car machines. Hey, and I look forward to this every Monday, and I hope the viewers do too, because y'all are seeing some of the best drivers in iRacing live here tonight on RaceSpotTV.
Yeah, and of course, we're approaching that halfway point of the season. One of the best drivers right now in terms of iRating, with 6,000 dirt oval iRating right now, is Alex Bergeron. He is still at the top of the point standings at the moment right now for the American Dirt Series Sprint Cars. He joins us here. He made the big time charge through the field, that is for sure. Alex, how do you feel?
Well, it was quite a good run. I had to run the bottom there, but I tagged the wall and I spun out, and I was able to save it and made my way back to 5th there with some people running out of fuel and everything. So quite a good run, but hopefully next week I'll have a better run for qualifying or say heat races and everything, so I can get a good starting spot for the feature.
Yeah, of course, in the feature, you started off in row number 9, which has been one of the deepest, if not the deepest place you've had to start off throughout the day. What happened with the setup, and what kind of adjustments did you have to make throughout the entire night to get yourself all the way up into the top 5 to charge from 17th to 5th?
Not much. Not much. Basically, I just kept the setup like it is, and just put fuel in it and change the wing, and there you go. Just made the feature, and I didn't change anything on it. But that was definitely a good run. I kind of like the UR Charger. It's quite a lot of fun to do it. There's a lot of car around you, and you gotta have a good momentum, and sometimes you need to run the top, the bottom, middle, everywhere to be able to pass somebody. So that was fun.
It definitely looked like fun out there across the track. Of course, you guys are going to Volusia next week. What are your thoughts on that track?
It's kind of a bit wider than Lanier, and I think we're gonna have a good run there. We had one caution tonight, so that's awesome, and we'll be prepared for that week.
That was Alex Bergeron, your hard charger through the field, who is currently at the top of the point standings here for the American Dirt Series Sprint Cars. Let's take a look at the schedule one last time as we are going to Volusia Speedway Park for round number 5 of the season. That should be an exciting race, that is for sure, as RaceSpotTV will have all your coverage for that next Monday night. Broadcast starts at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And that wraps up the show here for RaceSpotTV. As today's coverage was brought to you by Southern Indiana Lawn Care, the Dirtco Media House, Kings of Dirt, the CMF Motors Electrics, along with Down Under Graphics, Solana Forestry, and B-Dirt 1934. It was exciting action from start to finish, from the qualifying all the way to the A mains here at Lanier. For Davis Richards and for Hugo Louise, I'm Justin Prince saying so long for tonight. And be sure to keep clean on that dirty sprint car track.